Hey folks, how we doing? You know, I was working with my Felcos today and they're working pretty good, but there seems to be like a little bit of resistance in them. They're not as smooth, the action's not as smooth as I like. So I was about to go ahead and kind of strip them down and put them back together, and I thought maybe some people watching might want to see this. I've done a video like this before, so there might be some other ones on my channel. But let's see if we can do something kind of real time and go over how I do this. So what I've got here is a pair of Felco 7s. And the Felco 7s have a rotating handle, which is nice if you're going to be pruning all day. Most people, you just need a Felco 2. But what I'm going to do here is basically the same no matter which model Felco you have. So why don't we get started? So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take off this little screw here. And what this little screw does is it's like a locking screw for the nut that actually holds the pruners together. So we'll put that over there, and I should probably take the spring off too. And then we can just go ahead and remove this nut. Put this over here, and then underneath the nut, you know, just pay attention to the order these things are in. You've got this is what's used to lock them, and then you can just take the whole pair of pruners apart. And the first time you do this, and most likely today, you'll forget how they go, so you'll have to do it a couple times. And then you can take your blade off right there. So you could either sharpen this blade or you could purchase a new blade, whatever's better for you. All right, and just remember when you put the blade back on, the flat part of the blade wants to touch the flat part of this blade. So let me go get a paper towel or something to clean this off with. Now, the last piece is right here, and I really don't need to take this off, but it can't hurt. And just out of curiosity, so the screws are different lengths, so just make sure to put this screw in a separate spot than the other screw. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean all this stuff up. And I usually put some grease in here, which is unfortunate because I don't have any grease on my truck today. But just take a wire brush and wire brush this stuff just to get anything that's kind of stuck in there off. And you can go as fancy, you know, be as fancy as you want to be. The grittiness might be caused by this, so I'll try to do a good job cleaning this off. Anywhere where there's parts that are gonna slide against each other. And then just be careful when you're grabbing the part that cuts, because Felcos are known to be extremely sharp. That is why we buy them. And then we can just wire brush the blade a little bit here, and more importantly, wire brush the back of the blade, because that's where parts are going to rub together. All right, and then we're going to see if we can clean this all again. And I do just want you to see if you look, hopefully we're in focus. Where are we? Hello, bright sun. Okay, there we are. So hopefully you can see that it says Felco 7. It says Felco 7. So, you know, if you replace the blades, you have to order the blades for your pruner. It's not a one-size-fits-all deal. So let's see if I can just clean this other stuff up a little bit. And again, you know, it's not like these pruners were functioning really poorly. There just felt like a grittiness to them. So I thought it might be a good idea to clean them out a bit. Now, since we've got them apart anyways, we will just do a quick touch-up on the edge here. And my pruners are usually fairly sharp. So this is a diamond file. It's medium grit. They make a finer one and they make a coarser one. I find the medium works fine for me. And all you're gonna do is just try to match the angle of the blade and just run it along the blade, and you just want to see polish along the whole length of the blade. Could probably go a little slower. And a little trick for this is, if you're new to this, get yourself a black Sharpie and you know, draw with the Sharpie along the edge, and then when you're filing, use the file to basically make the black of the Sharpie disappear. You'll often notice, like right back in here is where you may have some damage from cutting thick stuff or wire. I don't recommend you cut wire with your Felcos. I know some of them have a wire notch, but I prefer to just leave the wire to wire cutting tools and have sharp pruners. And then the other area is the tip here, because this is where most of the work is done. And you know, you don't want to go crazy, you just want to kind of keep it sharp. Keep a nice edge on it, you know, and you want to try to do your best to keep the angles the same as when you got them. Now what I'm doing here is trying to take off any burrs on the back, but I'm not trying to sharpen. You're not trying to remove metal when you do the backside. All you want to do is remove burrs and make it smooth. And if you really want to make sure you're not going to have any sliding, just hold that diamond flat, and that should get rid of any high parts. And then I'm just going to touch it up a little bit more here. I guess I've been doing more pruning than I realized, because she's dull. Just be careful running your finger here, because you can cut yourself if you do a really good job sharpening. All right, and then what we can do is just run our diamond file on the back, the flat side here, and just smooth that out a bit. Again, we're not trying to sharpen. All we're trying to do is just smooth this out. We really don't even want to remove any metal. We just want to take any junk off that might be on that. All right. So now's the part when I usually forget how things go. So we'll start with the anvil and this piece right here. Snug, but don't strip it. And then remember, we want to put this one, what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of oil back here to keep things from getting rusty. And then put that on. And then I'm going to put some oil in here, and I would use grease if I had it. And then this piece is going to go like that, and then the round screw comes from the bottom, and it'll thread into the top piece. And then we're going to put our locking mechanism. Then we're going to tighten it down with our nut. And then we can put our lock here. But before we do that, let's do this. We want to tighten this just with our hands, no tools necessary. And you want it to be able to move freely and easily. I mean, ever so slight of a tension on that, but you really want it to move freely, because once we put this on, we're going to lock it in place. And sometimes you won't get it in exactly the same place. Like the teeth won't match up perfectly. And that's, you know, usually what I do is I just go with it and snug this one down. Again, don't kill it, just snug it. And then we can put the spring back on. Now, I don't know if you really notice, but the action is much smoother on my Felcos now. So I should enjoy pruning more. I mean, they just glide. They just glide. And I've been doing work. I was cutting in some dirt yesterday, cutting roots, so that's why they're like this. But those are good to go. So this didn't take too long. You know, nice and sharp like a brand new pair of pruners. Let's go see if they cut. All right, so we got our pruners here. The lock works nice. We just get in. I mean, it really couldn't be any easier than that. Hopefully this is in. So, you know, this is a blue holly. I just hit the camera. Don't do that. So there we go, all set.